Martin Luther King Jr. I've been to the mountaintop speech, delivered on April 3, 1968, in Memphis, Tennessee, stands as a poignant testament to his leadership and vision for the civil rights movement. Just hours before his assassination, King delivered a speech that is now remembered for its prophetic overtones. He spoke of his own mortality, having survived numerous threats on his life, and seemed to foreshadow his impending death when he declared, "I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you. But I want you to know tonight, that we, as a people, will get to the promised land." These words would take on a haunting significance the following day. The impact of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination on the civil rights movement was profound. At the time of his death, King was one of the most prominent and influential leaders in the movement, known for his commitment to nonviolent resistance and his powerful oratory. His assassination sent shockwaves through the nation and the world, sparking riots in cities across America and prompting an outpouring of grief and anger from those who had been inspired by his message of equality and justice. The man who killed Martin Luther King Jr. was James Earl Ray, a fugitive from the Missouri State Penitentiary. Ray was a small-time criminal who had a history of robbery and other petty crimes. He had escaped from prison in 1967 and had been on the run ever since. On April 4, 1968, Ray shot and killed King as he stood on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. The impact of King's assassination on the civil rights movement was immediate and far-reaching. In the short term, it led to a wave of violence and unrest in cities across America. Riots broke out in more than 100 cities, resulting in dozens of deaths and thousands of injuries. The National Guard was called in to restore order, and curfews were imposed in many cities. In the long term, King's assassination had a profound impact on the course of the civil rights movement. With King's death, the movement lost one of its most charismatic and effective leaders. Many feared that without King's leadership, the movement would lose its momentum and direction. However, in the years following King's death, the civil rights movement continued to make significant strides, thanks in part to the efforts of other leaders such as Ralph Abernathy, Jesse Jackson, and Andrew Young. King's assassination also had a global impact, shining a spotlight on the issue of racial injustice in America and inspiring similar movements around the world. In countries such as South Africa, Northern Ireland, and India, activists and leaders drew inspiration from King's example and sought to emulate his methods of nonviolent resistance. King's message of equality and justice resonated with people of all races and nationalities, making him a symbol of hope and inspiration for oppressed people everywhere. How did the civil rights movement survive after King's death? After Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination in 1968, the civil rights movement faced a challenging period as it sought to continue its work without its most prominent leader. However, the movement did not falter. Instead, it adapted and evolved in response to King's death. One key factor in the movement's survival was the emergence of new leaders who were able to step into the void left by King's death. Prominent figures such as Ralph Abernathy, Andrew Young, Jesse Jackson, and others took on greater leadership roles and helped to guide the movement forward. These leaders brought their own strengths and perspectives to the movement, helping to keep it vibrant and relevant in the years following King's death. Another factor in the movement's survival was the continued commitment of its grassroots supporters. While King was a charismatic and inspirational leader, the civil rights movement was always about more than just one person. It was a grassroots movement made up of ordinary people who were committed to fighting for justice and equality. Even after King's death, these supporters continued to organize, protest, and advocate for change, keeping the momentum of the movement alive. Additionally, the civil rights movement was able to leverage the gains that had been made during King's lifetime to continue its work. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 had already been passed, providing legal protections for African Americans and opening up new opportunities for political participation. These gains served as a foundation upon which the movement could continue to build, even in the absence of King's leadership. Finally, King's death served to inspire a new generation of activists who were committed to carrying on his work. The Black Power movement, which emerged in the late 1960s and 1970s, was influenced by King's message of empowerment and self-determination. These activists brought new energy and ideas to the civil rights movement, helping to ensure its continued relevance in the years to come. In conclusion, While Martin Luther King Jr. assassination was a significant blow to the civil rights movement, it did not spell the end of the movement. Through the efforts of new leaders, grassroots supporters, and inspired activists, the movement was able to survive and continue its work, building on the gains that had been made during King's lifetime and paving the way for further progress in the years to come. Thanks for watching. Please like and follow.